looks like they're getting some stuff touched up here. From last time, we were just going over some things here. Just saw some stuff that looked a little dirty. But I'm going to welcome you to Shop Night. I am Chris Marshall, and I am joined by the 2023 FRC Wisconsin International Raceway Super Late Model Rookie of the Year, your friend and mine, the big LG Lou Goss. Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Chris. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just up here. Well, I was up here just going over some stuff because it kind of looked a little dirty there.
I mean, we already cleaned it, but thanks.
Well, I mean, you got to make sure that things are kind of, right now. Yeah. I noticed, I'm actually building a late model also.
Look at that thing.
And
looks like this car.
Yeah, you want to know the difference between this one and yours?
Tell me.
Well, I still got a lot of work to do on this one, just like how we have a lot of work to do on this car.
You are right. You are right, Chris.
So, as we're going through this, I'm looking at some stuff here. Looks like we took a lot of the, just looking down here.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like we took a lot of this stuff out here.
Sure. Grab that thing. Is that heavy?
Yeah. It's a little heavy there. What is that? I just see a block.
This is lead ballast, right? So when a car is fully dressed with all the, we'll say, running parts on it, it's probably only about 20, and the driver, right? Because they weigh us with the driver, right?
Water bottle too.
Water bottle, yeah. Maybe 2,500 pounds, 2,550, something like that. So we got to put ballast in it to make weight, but then we put it in certain areas where we want that optimizes the performance of the car. So what you're seeing that mess down there is we took them all out because over time they've gotten dirty and dinged up and scratched, and we're going to repaint them all and put our car number on them and write how much they weigh on them. That way, in case we got to move it around, or God forbid one falls off, which happens, right? And they can figure out who to penalize or who to fine.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. So can I just move this somewhere else, or can I put this, maybe somewhere in there so it's, adds more weight there, or does it have to be under there?
Well, like I said, location is key, especially you want it low. You can try and get as much of it to the left as you can, right? Centralized on the car is usually a good effort too. But basically, you just kind of get it, to, the big thing is to, get the car to scale up how you want it to, right? Mm-hmm. You can't have too much left side weight. You want to have certain percentages on the corners, right? So you lay it out strategically to make the car work the best.
Speaking of strategically, you mentioned car numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of some car numbers here, the number 2, the other number 2, the 10, the 44.
Yeah.
We put their numbers on them, and let's just say something happens, they go penalize them, is that something that maybe, we should maybe focus on doing, or maybe I should just, maybe something happens?
That sounds sketchy, Chris. We're not doing that.
Maybe we shouldn't.
I think it's going to say 36G because there's plenty of 36s out there, too.
Oh, yeah, true. But, I know that other 36 that we're talking about, we just put 36F on them, and just in case if something happens,
Yeah, no, probably not going to fly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the officials will get pretty upset at that, too.
Because I have another idea that we could do.
What you got?
All right, so I know we got some detailer. And then I also heard of another thing, even though Bobby Pierce got penalized doing it. Here's what I'm thinking. So we go out there, let's say we put a particular chemical on the tires.
Yep.
Do this overnight, we go out there, and here's how I pictured it. We go to the Dells. All of a sudden I said, hey, this is going to get us the pole. You go out there, you qualify. I say, hey, you got a 13, blah, blah, blah. You got the pole, man. Go back there, all of a sudden, I find out you're 4th. I go up to the officials, I said, hey, the rest of the cars are cheating.
Yeah.
Even though, it was us. But, hey, as we continue on with the rest of the car, I noticed, what's this up here?
Well, that's the air filter, right? That goes on top of the motor, right? And it filters the air going into the carburetor, right? So that was all attached up here. So we just kind of set it off here somewhat neatly, right? We'll probably get a new air filter.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Yep.
We went over stuff that we're replacing, so would this be something that we maybe
probably
have to get a...
And look, there's styrofoam in there.
Might find some more tire stuff.
Probably tire junk, probably dust, gravel, whatever.
Now, before we go any further, this episode is brought to you in part by Symes Realty.
Yeah.
Symes Realty.
Yeah, nice job, Chris. Yeah, So lucky to have them on board over the last couple of years. They've been great, and go check them out for anything homes that you need to purchase.
All right. Symes Realty.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to make sure you say it a couple times, because then it gets into their mind that way. But as I go towards more of the car, I'm looking here. I see some more of the ballast and stuff here. So we got more ballast that goes towards the back also.
Like I said, there's a couple 100 pounds in this car, so it's all along. A lot of this right side rail is kind of how it ended up in this car.
No, do you ever put any of it on the left side?
We start there usually, right? But usually there's either a 58 or 60% max. I think pretty much all the super lates have switched to the 58 left side max percentage, right? So as soon as you get there, you basically just got to start putting it over on the right side. There's a nice tray under there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this Pathfinder chassis has some slugs along the way where you can bolt pieces right to the frame rail.
Now, is this, as you mentioned Pathfinder, is this all chassis or is it particular ones? So let's say if I was to go get a left-hander, will it be on the left side? Or if I go get a Fury, is it going to be opposite side?
Yeah, they're all kind of similar. I had an older left-hander at one point and had a tray sort of in the middle. This has got a tray situation, right? So there's all sorts of, there's little clamps you can buy that kind of clamp on to the frame rail, a different tubing. You can bolt right to those clamps.
No, I'm looking here. Do we need to replace anything here? Maybe get a new axle or anything like that? Or
well, we're talking about taking that out to get it checked. We had it checked, midway through last year or so. Lars at Pathfinder checked it out for us, and he said it was good to go. So we might take it down to him. I gotta talk to Lars about that. But yeah, like you can see the hubs and whatever are missing. All the brakes are missing off of it, and so we'll rebuild those brakes, put new seals in. We're going to update those hubs to oil-filled hubs from the greased ones or the glued ones. Anyway.
Yeah, who would ever say glued? But
anyway, so yeah, that's why that's still all part. We got some updates. We got a little bit of machining to do on the hubs to make it work with the oil fill.
Now I look over here and I see a fuel cell with no bladder. Now do we need to go and maybe repaint this? Because this looks a little, looking at this looks a little beat up here.
It's about due for a paint job, a cleanup and a paint job. Not only is it just the wrong, kind of a weird color in general, but a good cleaning and a good painting would be good. And yes, new bladder parts, new foam, new lines, everything for that.
And does that usually cost a lot of money, like the bladder and things like that?
Bladders and, the bladders are pretty expensive. The rest of it's not too bad, but yeah, bladder,
Here's what I'm thinking. So
budget $1,000 or something for a bladder.
So is that something that maybe we can look on like Facebook Marketplace for, or maybe, do some of these places have maybe like a, like a pile that they just have some things there, and we just maybe go to left-hander chassis one day and just pick up a bladder or something, or
you can use used parts. Just there's dates, there's manufacturing dates. I think our bladder's sitting over in the other room, but. There's manufacturing dates on there, so it's posted right out. So if you can find a used one that's still in date, you're good to go. But we're gonna start fresh. That way, we've got a couple of years where we don't have to think about it.
And how big are these fuel cells? Someone that's never seen them, they go, "Hey, the NASCAR ones have these. For ours, how big are ours?"
Yeah, this one's a 12-gallon. I think we can run up to like an 18-gallon. I'm not sure, but usually we try and keep that small cell in there. What that allows is you don't have all that extra steel and weight and fuel hanging off the back of the car affecting the setup, right? You have the minimum amount of steel and fuel in the back of the car, and like we talked about ballast, if you think about it, if we've got 250 pounds of ballast in the car, that's 10% of the weight, right? So if you start moving that around, that can affect the car a lot. So if we take that weight off the rear and put it exactly where we want it, it's to our benefit.
Now there's some things that we could do to maybe manipulate that, maybe moving the engine a certain way, certain percent, or a certain way up, or a certain way back to make it.
Yeah, you can move it, but there are rules to that too. There's setback rules. Usually it's based off of the front center line of the front hubs or the ball joints or the spindles or something. I think it's usually the ball joints, and it's like the first spark plug on the front of the motor is like 1 inch back for a Chevy and 3 inches back for a Ford or something like that.
Yeah, my dad's got a story about that they tried doing at Rockford, and they used the excuse it's a Ford engine. So,
yeah, sure. They used, for a long time they had a bigger setback. I'm not sure if that's totally the case anymore.
Now, as we continue on further, back here with the car, is there anything we're going to do here? Maybe update, or maybe take this off, put different panel on. I know as we get under here, we have our quick change that's under there.
Yep.
Are we gonna maybe change that out or maybe add something new to that?
No, like I said, Lars, we'll talk to him about doing the, looking through the quick change. But as far as this back bumper cover is concerned, yeah, Mike Hubbard and I were actually looking at the cover today. It's actually in pretty decent shape. It looks rough, but a lot of it is the vinyl. So the vinyl's just got to get kind of cleaned up. So we'll probably just peel it off, recover it, and go again.
All right. As we get to this part here, kind of the same thing here on the other side that we were talking about.
Yeah, same thing, just left side of it, right?
Yeah, and I noticed you got these here.
Sure. Those were a Lou idea. I think when I was working with maybe when Mike and I first bought the car, I had this idea because at that time some of the tracks you could still run the 60% left side weight, and I also wanted a lot of ballast on this left rear corner, so I had these extra slots put in, and but now all the tracks have got away from the 60% left side weight, and we've got some different ideas about how much to actually have on this left rear. So now we don't have as much. We got one chunk in there. That's about it. But at one point, I stacked that whole corner.
Was there an advantage to that, or?
The idea is I thought the car would kind of hinge around this left rear and give it more drive off, but it really didn't work. And like I said, since the tracks went from 58 or 60% left side weight to 58, we had to move a bunch of it to the right side anyhow.
Okay, and as we make our way further over to the car here, you mentioned still changing some things out here, and we don't have to do anything with the roll bars or move or do anything like that.
No. I think just kind of looking at it, I think a few officials probably have asked us to get a little bit more padding in here, maybe.
Okay.
In here. But about the only thing we got to do in the interior is clean it up and get new belts, and that's about it. Really, we talked about maybe getting a different tach. We have a digital tach that I haven't been totally certain about. Right, it doesn't match our chip when the chip hits. Sometimes it gives a different RPM, so I was a little certain about that.
I think that'd be kind of cool running a digital one because I know there's not a lot of late model guys that are doing that. I know a few years ago, I think Kyle Busch was running a digital one in his car. So I mean, is there an advantage to running a digital one in there versus running the
needle? I mean, all that does is it gives you a more exact number, right? The needle, there's a judgment in between which mark it's on, right? It's easy enough to tell, but it's easy enough to mess up too. If you have one that's digital and prints the number for you, it's harder to mess up as far as note taking.
And we don't have to worry about blurring that out so that the other team see what we're doing, right?
I'm not worried about it, Chris.
All right. I'm just asking.
I'm probably asking them for help anyways.
Well, my favorite race car driver, has it to where you can't see that.
Sure.
And, I think he drives like the Napa car or something like that. But yeah, he has that on there. So, I didn't know if that was something that we were going to do whenever you get out of the car. We put duct tape over so they can't go in there and look at it and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
And as we continue to get further here, we're almost back to where we started at.
Yeah.
And do we have to maybe, do anything special here or just kind of go back over it, just make sure there's nothing that's bent or broken, I take it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, one thing we kind of miss is obviously a lot of the body's missing. So basically this whole section, door to door, and maybe 1/4, we're planning on replacing the whole thing, all those chunks, right? Start out with nice fresh body pieces. Also gives us, we're going to have some pretty decent backup ones too, because, more than likely we'll tear up a few panels throughout the year. But yeah, getting into like the chassis and the suspension, it's ready to go. I mean, we cleaned it up nice. I feel great about it, right? We're going to go ahead and grease all the ball joints, clean up. We got a few small pieces to fix and replace, but not much. Like I said, this will get the hub update too. But that's it. Ready to rock.
Now versus last year, if everything goes to how we want it to go, do you see this kind of being done weeks before the icebreaker?
Oh, yeah.
And is there an advantage to getting the car built weeks before? Because there's people that think that we just cram everything before the night before and then quickly load the car and then we show up at the track.
We've never done that.
Well, True, but there's people that think that you race car drivers sit up all night with a pot of coffee, and you guys are wrenching on the car for all hours of the night. I've heard stories.
Oh yeah, for sure. So and that's definitely the case. But getting ready to go as soon as possible. That's what we're doing this year, right? And it's going to allow us to not only just be ready and relaxed, instead of up against the wall, like has been the case at times, throughout the year. It just happens. But then also gives us, a better marketing opportunity to get the car out and do some things, right? We committed to something the other day in the early spring at a Gamblers Hockey event. We're going to have the car there. Super excited to do that. And we've got some other places we're going to bring it to in the spring too. And just help us keep that, that marketing, that sponsorship effort continuing, even outside of race season.
Yeah, and just staying out there, keeping the car fresh and in everybody's eyes. And by that time, we'll already have our paint scheme already done.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say scheme because it's more of a wrap. Yeah. And as the old timers are watching going, oh, it's a wrap, kid, it's a wrap. So as our wrap, we'll have that already done.
Yep.
And by then, and hopefully by that time, we'll be able to announce some new sponsors in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So
that's coming soon.
Yeah, so that's very exciting.
Yeah.
And so with all that being done, and hopefully by then, I believe my late model will be done by then. I mean, I still gotta go on.
It's a race, Chris.
Who's
getting their car done?
Yeah, I think we may have to, I might have to do a series on this, because I actually still have to do the same thing on my chassis that you got to do on yours.
I love it.
So, with that being said, another night of shop nights already down.
Yeah.
And, so right now, we're going to maybe give them a preview next week. We'll probably go through and let them know what we, got done, in shop night. And, from there on, I'm going to let you guys know. I want to thank you for joining us for shop night. You guys have a good one. I'm Chris Marshall. That is the big LG Lou Goss. Drive safe.
Nice job, Chris.
Oh, thank you.